I work at a US Navy shipyard. My worst I told you so moment was when a submarine had multiple issues with sanitation/collection tanks and the piping that led from the showers and toilets to the sanitation/collection tanks. Documented and pointed out the same problems over a 12-week period. Supervisors and the tank area manager didn't give a damn and pointedly ignored my reports. Undocking day was approaching and the captain of the sub wanted the boat out on time. So they moved up the tank closure schedule. So tank closing protocol requires several sign-offs, one from a qualified civilian inspector, one from a qualified Navy hull technician sailor, and one from a qualified Navy engineering officer. That tank in question failed all 3 concurrent inspections. Undocking got pushed back by 30 days until all problems found were corrected. Daily operations estimated costs were north of $10,000 per day. Factor in the mandatory overtime and rework required and we were looking at maybe triple the daily cost. This is just people's pay. I didn't get to see the material cost overrun, but I know for a fact that a lot of the materials got shipped in or fabricated in-house overnight. Needless to say, a lot of people on general schedule pay got chewed out by the then shipyard co in private. Ah yes. Our tax dollars at work. There's always going to be a guy trying to do something he shouldn't for some reason he thinks he will get away with and it will benefit him. Nothing no government or law can do about it besides having more guys to check on other guys and make sure they don't get away with it. That worked here, as the issue was caught. In private industry the ship would have been launched anyway, so the shareholders would be happy and the stock price rises while some poor tech made it work until it could be fixed later. Was picking beans with my sister and mom. To this day I still don't know why the fence was electric, but it was. I touched it and I got zapped. It wasn't too bad but it hurt. I jumped away and my sister saw me. I said that it was an electric fence. Of course she just thought I was pranking her. I was trying to tell her the whole time we picked beans, but she didn't believe me. Right at the end she touched the fence and she didn't see it coming at all. Her face was just like, oh she loved the car ride home, I told you. Idiot. It's so the beans don't run off. Maybe they're to keep the bean stealing whores out. In high school I was at a party where everyone was getting drunk. I had come with 2 friends and near the end of the night this one guy there was losing everyone into his van to get late night food. He swore he was not drunk and there were so many people in his car, including the 2 people I came with, it was not a battle I was going to win. But it seemed like an obviously dumb situation, bunch of underage kids packed into a van driving around in the suburbs at 1 o'clock in the morning. I told my friends that this wasn't a good idea and they need to get out of the van and come back gone with me. My house was within walking distance. They acted like I was a party pooper for a sec, but then they got out. Next day I find out the guy driving ran a red light and got T-boned by a truck. The one kid in the back almost died and everyone got banged up. The friends I pulled out of the van were in the back seat along with him. Not saying I saved their lives, but I really may have saved their lives. Good on you. It's tough to stand up to a drunk crowd like that. Glad you recognized the dangerous situation and I'm glad your friends decided to listen to you. Kudos to you for showing your maturity. Can't believe what some people think is a good idea under the influence. This is so important, OMG. I'm still in high school and me and my friends made a deal that we always keep up. If we're drinking, then the designated driver either does not drink or even if they do, we take 3 rounds around the neighborhood just to make sure that they're okay to drive. If not, we call our parents. Rather get in trouble with parents than die. This is more of a I told myself so, but anyway, when I applied to medical school, one of the application essays had a prompt that asked us what we would do if we did not get into medical school. I thought I would take a risk since it was a reach school and I wanted to stand out. I kept thinking it wasn't worth it and that I should just write a normal essay, but for some reason just went with the riskier option. I wrote that I would go to law school and become a lawyer specializing in prosecuting medical malpractice. I ended up getting an interview and had a good laugh about it with one of the interviewers. Did not get into that medical school. Working in a horse breeding barn, told a new employee that she might want to wear gloves when cleaning horse sheaths. She said it wasn't necessary. Next day, she's complaining that even 10 washes wouldn't get the stench off her hands. The Marais liked her, though. Went to the doctor on and off for breathing problems to no avail. A lot of rub some dirt on it mentality. Wound up in the ER as a result of an asthma attack. Kept the bracelet on and everything when I went back the next week to see him. Not as satisfying as I would have hoped. Church I went to as a teenager and, along with my friends, telling the leaders there that something wasn't right about the youth pastor and his behavior was off. Nothing was done. We eventually all left. 2 years later he punched a kid on a retreat, while it turns out he was fucking the pastor's wife the whole time. Fucking told you. Was there anything Christian about him? Seemed like a great guy until a leadership position got into him. We knew him from before he took the position. Love how this became about Christianity. As a Muslim I can easily say a good number of my Christian friends are better, morally, ethically, hygienically, than some Muslim friends. Talking about 1.5b Christians best to not generalize. Do Muslims have pastors? Well then it makes sense that a post talking about a pastor would be about Christianity then, doesn't it? What do you mean? That's about as Christian as it gets. Religion is full of assholes. Yes, but religion is absolutely stuffed full of assholes. They use faith and forgiveness as an excuse. A lot of people use religion as an excuse to get together to commit a-hole actions. But if religion were not there, I can guarantee these people will find other mediums to commit the same actions. Wait, the pastor was fucking the pastor's wife? Isn't that just marriage? I was a fresh-faced sysadmin, a PFY if you will, who had just been handed my first big project. I took it over after it was already in progress due to the lead admin having a medical emergency. It was a critical environment and the key component was a 2-node database cluster. I was in way over my head, but I had support from a few project members and so I was making my way through it. At one point I was reviewing the connectivity to the servers. The idea for a critical piece of infrastructure is to reduce single points of failure, SPOF. As I was going through the documentation I noticed both database servers had all of their network connections run to the same switch. So I brought it up to the network guy on the team, a senior engineer. He said not to worry about it and brushed me off. So I brought it up on the next project call. I said if we're trying to keep this thing up and running according to the SLA we really need to eliminate this issue and put half the connections for both systems to another switch. Senior network guy said I was wrong, switches are very reliable and rarely fail. Like I said, this was my first project so I relented. The systems went live, into production use, the next week. Literally within 5 days of the systems being live and customer facing, the fucking switch dies. Both nodes of the cluster go offline, the database is down, the app is down. Huge cost to the business unit customer. The outage review call was pretty fun. As the admin I was asked why the systems were connected to the same switch. I said I had called that out as a risk and the network guy said it was no problem and I was overruled. It was awesome when the call leader asked the network guy if he still felt that way, laughing face. You know you're a real IT guy when you bring the production systems down. In 22 years I have only caused 2 production outages due to being a dumbass. One time I just rebooted the wrong system during a DR exercise, the other was a bit more complicated politically and technically but I still fucked up. My heart was in the right place though. So I was throwing knives at a tree. And my father told me to be careful cause the knife could bounce off of the tree. I didn't see that to actually happen. So I continued throwing knives at the tree and then it happened. A knife bounced off of the tree and hit me in the foot. When he went to go examine how bad the wound was, he asked me how it happened. I told him the knife bounced off and hit me in the foot and then he said I told you so. Yeah, when I was trying to throw a knife for like 3rd or 4th time, the knife bounced back at me. I was an idiot about it and slapped it between my palms. Caught it, but got a bruise from a dull blade. Now that I think about it, where's that knife? Huh. And then he walked away towards horizon like a true hero.